Hi everyone. I wanted to pop in to say hi because I've been missing all of you. And I know it's been a long time since I've done a live video, and I really apologize for that. And I wanted to just come in and connect with all of you to let you all know that I haven't forgotten you. In fact, I've so appreciated the outpouring of messages and letters and emails from you saying that you've missed me and you're wondering when am I coming back and when am I doing videos again and when is Tea with Anita starting up. So here I am. I hadn't wanted to put a fixed date on when I was coming back because I'll be really honest with you, with all the crazy things that have been going on around the world, my own energy has kind of been up and down. It's been all over the place. And I would say to myself, okay, I'm going to start doing the lives again this week. I'm going to start on whatever day. I decided I won't be doing them on Sundays anymore. I thought, okay, I'm going to do them every Thursday or something like that. And then the day would roll around and my energy would be kind of off on a tangent where I didn't feel my best to come and present. And it's because there was so much stuff happening in the world that there were a lot of times where it kind of felt like a weight even on my shoulders. And I know many of you listening will relate to that because I know a lot of you are empaths. And I would love to see in the comments, I'm going to read the comments later when I'm done. I would love to see in the comments how you have been feeling through this time. I'm just turning to Danny for one moment to ask him, are we live? And Danny says he's unable to see it, but I guess if you refresh the Facebook page, maybe it'll pop up. But let me know if you can hear me, see me, not hear me, see me. I would love to know. So anyway, yes, he can see me now. Yay, which means he can see the comments. Thank you. Before the COVID even started, I had wanted to take a break, and so the timing was quite incredible. I hadn't intended for my break to be as long as this. And so before this whole thing even started, I thought I'm going to take a break, and I decided to take a break from doing the Facebook Lives and from constantly being on social media because I was starting to feel exhausted from all the traveling and all the events I was doing and the plane rides and just going from country to country and keeping up with the schedule of the Facebook Lives and everything. But literally the same month, it was March, I decided to take the month of March off, and that was my birthday month. And it was during that month that COVID hit America and then everything closed down. And so I want to talk a little bit about my views on it, why I haven't voiced anything about it, and I want to give you an NDE perspective, my NDE perspective about it. So I'm giving it a voice today, probably a bigger voice than I have up until now, because during this time that I have been off and taking a break, and I know I've popped in a couple of times and I've still kept to my commitments where I had events. I've fulfilled the events I've had to do online, and I've popped in for a couple of spontaneous Facebook Lives and I've given you my views. But during this time, I have actually been somewhat detached from the media and everything the media is saying, and I've needed to do that because what I've noticed is that the fact that I stopped traveling as well and stopped having all the stress of traveling and being everywhere and then taking the break from the media, I have started to notice that I'm getting more downloads, if you will. My intuition feels more heightened. And what I've noticed is that when we are super plugged into the outside world, we don't leave a lot of room for our inner world to connect with us. We don't leave a lot of room for our intuition to communicate with us. So when we detach from the outside world, our inner world, our intuition can communicate with us. So as I started to take the break, I started to notice that happening. Then that my inner world was communicating with me more, and I was really liking that. Then when the COVID thing hit, I found that I was keeping up with a lot of what was happening on the news simply because I guess because we had to know what the rules were. Do we have to wear masks? Do we not have to wear masks? And I started getting bombarded with this information, and I started to feel my energy go down again. What was interesting, and I'm sure many of you have noticed this, is that a lot of the information coming at us has been very, very conflicted. We've been bombarded with so much information that even the information is all over the place. The information is not aligned, and some people are telling us that it's a hoax, while other people are saying, no, I know someone who died from it, it's very real, and so on. We're getting all this conflicted information, with many of us saying it's a government agenda or it's a pharmaceutical agenda, and so you're getting all these different things. And so you start to doubt what is true and what isn't, and you don't know what to believe anymore. This is why it's so important. It's so very important to take a break from all that information and connect to your inner self so that you can center yourself and become strong and get back in touch with your source and know that you are okay. So this is one of the things I wanted to talk about. But also, one of the reasons that I found it really hard to come online was because of all the divisiveness and the polarization and the politicizing of all this information. It felt for a while to me, until I got my thoughts really clear, it felt for a while that no matter what I said or would say, it's going to actually cause more divisiveness, because what was happening was that even, let's say, even before we got over the whole COVID thing, and where it got to a point where you couldn't even talk about the virus without it becoming a political issue. In other words, you could share your views about the virus, you could share your views about what's going on, but immediately it would get hijacked and become a political issue where you would be getting judged as to whether you are on the left or the right. And so every subject was getting hijacked. And before we even got over all this, the next thing that came on was the whole Black Lives Matter and the whole systemic racism issue, at least here in America, which then spread all over the world. My home country in Hong Kong has been going on with its own issues with the takeover from the CCP, from China. And so there have been protests over there. So it started to feel like before we'd even resolved one thing, another thing was piling up on top. And before that was resolved, yet another thing. And here's the commonality between all these things. They seem like completely different things. And this is happening all over the world. Every country has its own issues right now. Whether you're talking Iran, whether you're talking Paris, whether you're talking the UK, the EU, you're talking Hong Kong, you're talking America, doesn't matter. Every country is having its own issues. And one of the shared common issues is COVID. But here is the common thread that I have noticed. And the common thread that is happening is that we are becoming divided. And to me, that is the bigger issue. That is a bigger issue than taking each individual issue on its own. Because of course, systemic racism is awful. I completely abhor racism, because I know that when I crossed over to the other side, race doesn't exist. We're all one. We're all pure spiritual essences. We are pure love. So why have we accepted this racism, this issue of racism here? The other point is, of course, the COVID. When we're on the other side, we are souls, we are healthy, we come here to be healthy. How has this been allowed to exist here? And so on with every other issue. The big issue that I see at the core of all of this is the divisiveness. I see that as being the cause of everything, every issue that we are facing right now. There's one cause, and that's the way I view it from the perspective of my NDE. And I'm going to clarify that for you in a moment. I'm just going to wear my glasses to rest my eyes for a little bit. So here's how I see that everything, how it all works, or how it appears to be from my NDE perspective. if we look at the world right now, even the COVID, we can't talk about it without it becoming divisive and people having polarized views and saying it's this, no, it's that, no, it's this, no, it's that. You wear a mask and people say, oh, you're buying into this whole thing. You don't wear a mask, people say, oh, you're being irresponsible, you're being selfish, and so on. Then you have the Black Lives Matter movement, where you have you have people hating on the police, and you have people hating on black people, and then you have people hating on white people because they're apparently the cause of the problem, and so on. And so there's all this divisiveness of people hating on people and people judging people. And this is the case with every problem. Now, the thing is, what I feel is the issue is that all of this makes us hate everybody that is not like us or is not coming from the same viewpoint as we are, and we are not listening to anybody. Our work right now, our biggest job, is bigger than resolving COVID or racism and all. It's actually about bringing people together and making people realize that we are all one and we're all from the same source. That's what I feel that my everything, my downloads tell me, everything that my near-death experience taught me, that is what I feel that is the intention behind my message. It's only that. It's to bring people together and for people to realize that we are all one. You see, what happens is when we buy into all these messages that are making us feel separate, also, when we buy into messages that are making us feel like victims of our situation, of our reality, because face it, everything you hear on the news is making you feel like a victim. It's making you hate on other people, on people who don't think like you. It's like, for example, if you're a Democrat, the news media makes you hate Republicans. If you're a Republican, the news media makes you hate Democrats. If you're someone who's been racially attacked, which many of us have been treated unfairly, and I have been racially attacked, but I can't even begin to imagine how it feels to be somebody who is African American in America, because I know people who are afraid because of their ethnicity, because they know that just the color of their skin is like a pass for them to be attacked, and that must be awful. But at the same time, when you watch the news almost teaches you how to hate on, say, white people, whereas not all white people are like that, or it teaches you to hate on cops. Now, what happens is we walk around with this feeling of hate towards other people, and we walk around like with this feeling of being in this state of fight or flight, the state of survival, the state of fear, the state of hatred, the state of seeing everybody as being separate, an enemy to us. That feeling, that is actually, to me, the bigger issue that we're facing right now. And what we have to do is work on bringing people together. And if people could see other people and really see them, see their soul, a lot of our issues would be resolved. And believe it or not, I'm even including COVID into that mix. And here's why. I want you to imagine this and this is from the ND, the near-death experience perspective of who we are and how we're all connected. I have used this analogy before, but I want to expand on it. It's the analogy of the prism. You know what a prism is? It's like a crystal, let's say it's a round ball, like a crystal globe with multi-facets. If you can't imagine a prism, I want you to imagine one of those mirror balls from the discos of the 70s, 80s. You know, those big balls with lots and lots of faces of mirrors. So either imagine the prism with all those facets or the mirror ball with all those mirrors, those individual facets. Now imagine if each one of those facets are our souls. Your soul is there, my soul is there, someone else's soul. So there's millions and millions of facets on this humongous mirror ball or prism. The whole thing is one. That is what I call God. God is the collection of your soul, my soul, and everybody else's soul. All our pure essences together is the all that is. All our pure essences together is God. And we are all connected like this prism where all our facets are part of the whole. So your soul has access to everybody else's soul. That's why we have ESP and intuition. We can tune into each other. That's how people are able to tune into each other. How when you truly are connected to someone, you can finish their sentences. How you can tune in to someone who's on the other side of the world. So because all our souls are connected. Now, so what is our physical body and our physical life? Now, if you imagine light, which is life, light going through this prism, or even light shining on this mirror ball, what happens is the light gets refracted. And if you're in a room with a prism or a mirror ball, what do you notice? You notice speckles of light all around the room on the walls. And these are separate, all these little individual speckles of light of different colors. And the room is surrounded, it's like all over the walls are these speckles of light. Now imagine if each of these speckles of light is us, our individual physical form. And imagine if each of these speckles of light as our individual people, and because they are all individual speckles, they all believe they are separate beings. And think about this. They have no idea that they are being refracted from their own soul, which is connected to the whole, which is connected to the soul of everyone else. Do you see what I'm saying here? So each of those individual little specks of light on the wall are actually a refraction of the facet of the whole, which is connected to all the other facets. That means you are a refraction of light coming from your soul, and I am a refraction of light coming from my soul, and our souls are connected. But we have forgotten that. And so now imagine all these little individual speckles of light that are dotting all around your room. Imagine if they saw each other as enemies and they started fighting with each other and they started hating on each other. And imagine if there were institutions that believed that they needed to divide people up in order to become popular themselves, in order to make people vulnerable and weak. So imagine if I was one of those speckles of light, not realizing that actually you and I are all connected to the same whole. But instead we think, oh my God, I want to win this popularity contest. I want all of you to vote for me and not the other guy. So I'm going to make you hate on the other guy and fear the other guy so that you follow me. And imagine if a lot of people, many of them are trying to do that. And as they're trying to do that, these speckles of light are becoming more and more in fear and more living from a place of survival and a place of fight or flight. And as they get into this space of fight or flight and survival, the more they're living from that place of survival, the less connected they are to their soul and to that all that is. See, because here's how it works. Each speckle of light is an individual being. You are an individual being. If you as an individual being are not aware that you are connected to the whole, and you think that this is all I am just this separate little being. And when you think that's all you are, you live from this place of survival and fear, where you feel, I have to get ahead of the rest. I have to be one step up from them. I have to win this game. And what this does, like if you think in terms of your chakra system, when you live from your root chakra, so you have these 7 chakras, and your root chakra is the one that's responsible for survival. And when you are operating from survival, you are losing touch with the other chakras. And the more you are operating from your base chakra, the more you're losing touch with the highest chakras, your crown chakra. Because when you're operating from your crown chakra, that's the one that is in touch with your soul, which is the one that your crown chakra is where the messages come through from your soul. And these messages are coming from your soul, which is coming from the whole, which is source. What is source? Source is the soul of you and me and everybody on the planet together. Our source knows the truth. The reason why we are behaving the way we are over here is because we have forgotten that we are connected to source. We're living from this place of fear and separation. And that is the message that I want to keep reminding you of, is that it's super important for you to know that no matter what is going on in this world, you are still connected. And in order to stay in that connection, you have to remind yourself. You have to remind yourself, you have to get quiet, you have to listen to the messages, you have to switch off the noise that's coming from the outside world. And anything that makes you feel separate from anyone, anything that makes you feel hatred for any group, anything that makes you feel angry at other people as a generalization. You know, it's good, on the one hand, it's good to feel angry at a situation because you want it to be better. That's how we change the world. But remember, don't get angry at people. Get angry at a situation and then ask yourself, what do I want to see instead? And then channel that anger to a force for good to make a change for the positive. But anything that makes you feel angry and hatred towards a group of people, all of these things are making us feel separate. They're dividing us. They're breaking us apart. So what happens when we all become divided and we break apart? It becomes easier to conquer us. It becomes easier for the people in this world who are so disconnected from their source, who have an agenda that is so far removed from our own. It becomes easier to give them our power. This is what we do. We end up giving our power away to the very people that we're trying not to give our power away to. And we give them our power when we become divided, when we live from a place of fear, and when we live from a place of fight or flight. Why? Because when you live from your root chakra and when you live from a place of fear, you live from a place of disempowerment. What does that mean? That means that you believe that everything that's happening in the world around you is happening against you. You believe that you are a victim of the world. You believe that you have no control over what happens to you. You believe that you have no responsibility or no part in your life. Because here's the truth. You have much more control over your life than you think you do. Right now, if you listen to the media, every message on the media is trying to tell you that you're a victim of this. If you don't do this, it could be you. You could get this. You will be the next person to have this. Someone in your family might have it. You might get it. This is what's going to happen to you. You're going to die. You're going to have this respiratory illness, blah, blah, blah. And you walk around feeling, oh my God, I'm going to get it. I'm going to get it. And as you feel that, you become disempowered. As you become disempowered, this is a self-fulfilling prophecy. You become disempowered. You live from fight or flight, and you give your power away to everyone else. But on the other hand, what I want to remind you of is you are a soul. You came here with an intention. You are a refraction of light, and you always have connection to your soul that is part of the whole. You always have connection to that. You can always tune into that. You can always ask your soul, your guides, all of them, all the time to say, please guide me now. I need your guidance now. You can always tune into your soul and say, what is my purpose? Why am I here right now? What am I supposed to do right now? During these few months, my soul kept telling me, I need to rest. I need to rest. I need to regroup, because I had become so tired from the life I was living even before COVID hit, that if I tried to get into the foray, it would have depleted me. I needed to recoup, and I needed to build my energy back up, because the world is changing. We're heading into a new paradigm, into a new world where we need a new brand of spirituality. And so I kind of needed to really, I guess, get stronger myself to deal with things, because there's going to be a whole new post-2020 way of being and way of doing things, because the way things were before wasn't working anyway. Of course, people don't like it the way it is right now, but everything that's happening right now, it's like a pressure cooker. It's been building up for years. It's not just something that happened out of the blue. It's been building up for years, and then it just exploded over these last couple of months. And so what we're facing is the explosion, and we have a choice. We have a choice of whether we allow this explosion to break us apart, or are we going to use this as an opportunity to bring us all together. Because what I truly believe is that if we realized who we truly are, even COVID would not exist. I truly believe that. Because because I want you to think about this. Even death is not an accident. We have some part to play in it. All the things to do with our lives, our illnesses, our lifestyle, we have so much choice in this. We have a choice to decide as to whether we are a victim of everything that's being bombarded at us, or whether we would like to take charge of our own lives and connect with our soul and start to tune in to our soul's purpose and start to live a life of purpose where we feel what we're doing matters and that our life has purpose and meaning, and we are co-creating our lives. Because believe it or not, so much of your life and the way it is right now and what you're living, you had a choice in it. Either you didn't realize you had a choice. You know, if you're in a place where you don't like your situation, it's probably because you didn't realize you had choices, or you made choices from a place of lack of awareness, which is okay. It's never too late to make different choices. I'm just here to remind you that you are not a victim of your circumstances. And the other thing I want to say is that one day when we look back on 2020, I'm willing to wager a bet. I have no proof of this, but I'm willing to wager a bet that when we look back on the year, that the number of actual deaths that took place this year will not be significantly more year on year with any other year. And also, if you look at deaths today, we are being alarmed by the number of COVID deaths, like all the time. This is what is making us feel helpless, like victims. And it's making us feel disempowered, is that we're being told every day, we're being given these statistics, X number of deaths, X number of cases, and it's mounting and it's getting more, and it's making us feel more like victims, and we could be the next one. But here's the thing. Every soul has a contract. Every soul has an agreement as to when they're going to go. And this year, there are less deaths by car accidents because there are less cars on the road. There are less deaths by gun shooting and violence because most people are staying at home. And so you will probably see, and as I said, I'm willing to wager a bet that if we look back on the year 2020 a few years from now, you're not going to find that there are significantly more overall deaths this year than there are any other year. So we all have to leave some time. And the other thing I want to remind you is that death is an amazing place, like where we cross over when we go is an amazing space. That's not a reason to go, because if it's not your time, you need to be focused here. You really do need to be focused here. If it's not your time, find your purpose. But for those of you who are fearing COVID or who are fearing the state of the world, please, please, please tune in to your source, find your purpose, find your calling, and stop panicking and stop living from this place of fight or flight. And also be aware that you want to bring people together and not divide them. So the question is, does this event, this global event, does it break us apart or does it bring us together? My hope is that it brings us together. And I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. I'm going to read them after. And I'm just going to turn to Danny for one moment to ask him, is there anything significant in the comments that I need to know? Or I have a couple of reminders that I wanted to remind people of. And one of them is that Colette Barron-Reed, my dear friend Colette, is doing a course on connecting with your guides and reading oracle cards. And I love Colette. I love the work she does. And she gives wonderful tools that would help you. These cards actually help you in connecting with your guides. So I'm going to put a link in the comments below for you to access her course. It's completely free. It's completely free, and Colette is very funny and upbeat and humorous. The other thing I wanted to ask people to do is please sign up for my newsletter. I admit recently my newsletters have not been consistent every week. Same reason, there are some weeks where I've just had this exhausting week where I've just felt really bombarded by global events, and so I've needed to just take a break from everything. But I do try and get the newsletter as often, or I do try and make it weekly for as much as I am possibly able to. So please sign up to my newsletter. It's on if you go to my website, www.anitamoorjani.com, I'd love for you to sign up, completely free, and I link to videos and events and whatever it is I'm doing. And the other thing is I am about to launch a line of merchandise just for the fun of it. See, I like to do things that uplift me, and during this time I really wanted to do things that just uplift me. And so I started to get really creative, and I partnered with a woman named Nicola Bukowski, and I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, Nicola. I'm going to be seeing you tonight. I'm seeing Nicola for dinner later. And she is amazing. We worked together where we chose some of my favorite quotes and we created some merchandise. And here's a cushion that we've created. And so stay tuned. There's cushions. I've created some hoodies and some fun stuff. That's just been a really, really fun project for me. I've done it. I wanted to create things. You know, it's not that basically I wanted to create things that I would love myself, and with the quotes that I want to be reminded of myself. So I created with Nicola, we created this rainbow colored hoodie, which I just love. When it's cool enough, I'll wear it and I'll show it to you. But stay tuned, and we will launch them for the public soon, in case you guys want to buy some, or if you want a part of this merchandise. So if you sign up to my newsletter, you will hear about when it's all going to be launched. The other exciting piece of news is that a few weeks ago, maybe a couple of months ago, but during these last few months, I managed to completely finish writing my last book, which is my third adult book, or fourth book if we count my children's book. And my new book is called Sensitive is the New Strong. The subtitle is The Power of Empaths in an increasingly harsh world. And this book really is about empowering empaths in a world that sometimes feels like it's getting tougher and tougher. And it's filled with tools. It's coming out early next year. I am so excited about this book, you cannot imagine. I am as excited about this book as I was about my first one, Dying to Be Me, because it just feels so timely and important. And I have poured my heart out into this book. I have poured out about what it means to be an empath, how challenging it is, how to live from the inside out, the importance of living from the inside out, because the thing with empaths is that it can be like a double-edged sword, or it's a gift and a curse, where you're in tune with everything that's happening outside, but you're also in tune with your intuition, which is, empaths' intuition is super strong, but their connection to the people outside of them is also super strong. And what we do is we tend to get influenced by the outside, when actually we would benefit more if we learned to tune in more from the inside and use the information from the inside to shine our light and share with the people on the outside. We often make the mistake of going to the outside first and then allowing ourselves to be depleted by the divisiveness that's happening outside, instead of tuning into the inside, getting the connection, filling ourselves up with light and then sharing that light with the outside world. So basically, the new book, Sensitive is the New Strong, is really targeted for a new era of spirituality, because I truly believe that the older paradigm, the older spiritual paradigm, the one that many of you tuning in now, empaths tuning in who've grown up with, is not working for the way the world is shaping up now. It's making us too reticent. It's making the empaths too subservient. It's making us hide. It's making our boundaries too strong. It's making us protect ourselves too much from the outside world. It's time for us to shine our light. It's time for us to connect with like-minded people. It's time for us, for the empaths, to take leadership positions if we want to change the world. We are not going to change the world by hiding from it. We're not going to change the world by hiding from the divisiveness and allowing the divisiveness to continue to grow. And we're not going to change the world by allowing divisive people to take on leadership roles. This is not a judgment towards them. This is just because they have forgotten who they are. It's time for the empaths to shine their light and to bring their message forward. And that's what this new book is about. So thank you all for tuning in today. I'm so happy I did this. I'm so happy I had a chance to connect with all of you. And if Danny has nothing for me, we're going to sign off. I love you guys, and I really do want to start connecting with you more. We do have a lot of things up our sleeves to share with you, and hopefully we will be rolling them out over the next few weeks. Love you guys. Have a great weekend, and see you really soon. Bye.